Hey, welcome back to another Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad podcast. I am Kyle W., engineer and producer, and we have a little bit of a skeleton crew tonight, but best of the best, right?
Hell yeah. I hope so.
Well, Pat and Ryan are together in Florida, and it sounds like they had too many cocktails today. They were slurring their texts, so we knew it was bad.
Pouring in their texts.
But yeah, in Texas Rocket, unfortunately, his wife works nights, so there's just a few weeks where her schedule just lands on our night, and he's got three kids, so he does what he can. So hopefully, he sends over a score prediction. If not, we'll definitely have those up on the social media. But
We're running out of days before the game, so we had to record tonight.
we did, yeah, yeah. I mean, even if we did it tomorrow and pushed, I think Pat's flying back, so it just would have been too close, and maybe Ryan would have joined. I don't know, but you got us tonight. No big deal.
Yeah, we're sacrificing the Packers versus Quinion game right now too. So this is important stuff.
I'm devastated.
Yeah, sure you are.
I'm doing a little scouting. My Lions have the Eagles next week, so hopefully, hopefully they beat the Packers and they're not pissed off next week. So we might be okay.
When does that had that the injury scare there for a second. He defended the pass and came up a little bit limp. He jogged off the field after a few minutes, but he seems all right now.
I mean, Lions are basically two and a half starting linemen at this point with Decker. So just doing what we can. Starting to get a few secondary back in. So based on last year, we're ahead. I think we had like 30 injuries. So
yeah, but the Bears just passed you guys for second place. So
I don't want to hear that negativity tonight. I don't need it.
You're down bad when the Bears are in second place in the NFC North.
I don't want to hear it. It'll be fine. But tonight we're going to talk about Rockets, obviously, and we're going to kick it off with some basketball news. Had a few games since our last podcast, so Bags and Dan here are going to update you guys.
Yeah, the men suck. That's the same shit again and again and again. We gave up 55% against South Alabama. Actually showed some life, came back, played decent, lost by 2. The MAC owned the Sun Belt Challenge while Toledo was one of the few losses. I don't have much to say besides Leroy Blyden Jr., the freshman guard, who's listed at 6'1". He's not. He's like 5'9". He looks like the real deal. Like he could be the starting point guard by the end of the year. So he was a bright spot. The center transfer Parks from Ohio State can't box out, can't make layups. I don't know.
It's a little crucial for that position, don't you think?
A little bit. You'd think, if you're 6'10" and we got a 7-footer off the bench who shoots threes, and that's his game. So he might actually develop into like a Luke Kanapke. I'm excited to see how he grows, but we also might only have him for a year because that's Toledo men's basketball. The second game, we were winning by 10 at halftime and then decided not to score for 7
minutes. I think we hit 55 and from like the 11:45 mark to 4 minutes left, we didn't make a basket. So
yeah, the men are rough. You can't lose to Marshall. That's not good for this city. And we broke out the Todd Father shirts, the giveaway.
Yeah, it was a whiteout weekend for basketball.
Great job, guys. 0-2, and now we go to Wright State. But I heard that Mr. Blair, athletic director, is traveling down to the Wright State game Tuesday. Then he's going to stay in the Dayton area and then go to Oxford for the Miami game Wednesday. So that's a nice little trip.
Yeah. So how are you guys feeling about that game?
The Wright State men's game?
Right. Not even thinking about it right now.
Oh, we'll get to the Miami game here soon, but I don't really want to talk about men's basketball much longer.
We always try to get people in seats and say to go support, but Dan and I had a conversation at a football game earlier this season, and I said, I really want to look into like women's season tickets and maybe look into men's, and he's like, wait till the men's prove something to you before you invest in that. I was like, fair enough, man.
Well, and they have the great Wiley schedule of Youngstown and Detroit Mercy and Wright State. I mean, we just played the same teams every year. Doesn't prove anything ever. I don't know. I just sick of watching the same team play no defense. They play defense when they hit shots, then they get amped up. But other than that, bleh.
Yeah.
Women's basketball also lost both games this week. We touched on the Troy game with our interview with Coach Bogus, and they looked remarkably better against a top 5 mid-major in the country in Gonzaga. We almost had it, Kyle.
Yeah, I was telling Dan I had a family dinner yesterday. We're recording on Monday, obviously, and I was watching on GameCast the first half, and then third quarter I tuned in, and it just seemed a little sloppy. We were forcing passes where I didn't think the defense was giving it up, and if we could just clean that up that third quarter, we might be talking about a win. I was actually pretty impressed with this loss.
Yeah, nothing to complain about at all. I mean, great crowd. Everyone showed up. That's the one thing that the women do that the men don't is schedule teams at home that people want to go out and see.
I thought it looked great on broadcast. It was a great look for Savage.
Yeah, national TV game. Like women,
it looked better than when I watched Troy. Which is cool to see. Great job showing up, everybody.
No, 1,000%. And I think the women were helped by one of our transfers from IU Indy, Hosevar. She didn't play against Troy, and she had a lot of big minutes against Gonzaga. I don't think they were expecting, a 6'1", basically guard forward hybrid to come in and D them up like we did. They had 18 turnovers, which is a lot for Gonzaga, and we cut ours from 28 against Troy to 14 against Gonzaga. So, yeah, that third quarter, which you mentioned, that was kind of where we, looked a little iffy on the offensive end. But the game was nip and tuck the whole time. I don't think Gonzaga got by more than 8.
Fourth quarter was interesting. Like there was moments where it felt like momentum was definitely shifting at times for Toledo. And you could tell it in Gonzaga's demeanor. Like they almost looked a little shocked at times, just trying to figure things out, really. But Faith Fed Robinson, I definitely want to give a shout out to. We started seeing what I think was a lack of confidence starting the season, but she really started figuring things out through the year last year. And I'm seeing that now. And, I tweeted about it, but that Euro step for second to last bucket and then hitting the 3. I mean, I get her 3-point percentage wasn't great last year, but hell of a play call, and she nailed it. So that was really cool to see.
She is smooth. Like she looks like the best player on the court. She carries herself like, she's the best player. And I could see her definitely being, up there for a first team all MAC type of player this year. But I don't know. We played so many girls. The rotation is going to be interesting to see how it molds the rest of the year. Because Kendall Carruthers is, fantastic, but
yeah, I think she was my player of the game almost every game last year, or at least a shout out. So I love how she plays as well.
Yeah, 1,000%. Our bigs are going to have to get a little bit better. I like Diala; she had a good game, but you still gave up 50% from 3. Gonzaga's a good shooting team. If they miss a couple of those, we come out with a win. So I'm optimistic.
The one thing I want to see this season with the bigs is continued intensity down in the paint. I thought Jessica Cook and Nan Garcia, at times when Hannah was actually playing, they all basically were like, this is my area, basically bodying people up when they get down in the paint, making it known they were there. So I just want to see that continue. We don't quite have the size we did last year, but no reason we can't have that hustle.
No, it's true that we've gone to a much leaner 5 position. And Hannah came up, we saw her at the game, and Gonzaga had a girl that was about Hannah's size. That was a game that we probably could have used Hannah just to bang around a little bit, maybe get them in foul trouble. But
it would have been an interesting matchup, wouldn't it? Yeah. And I'm excited for this year. I know we started 0-2, but like you guys said, Gonzaga, I thought it was a very respectable loss, and I think we're going to see a couple good games coming up.
Absolutely.
All right. So after the basketball starts 0-4, we'll go to a little bit better of a week for volleyball. They split the week, went 1-1. They won on senior night against Buffalo, 3-0 in that game. They still have not locked their spot up for Cleveland yet. The top 6 teams get in, but they play Akron. Akron's 8-8. We're, I think, 10-6. So, Akron's fighting to get in too. Bowling Green's also right there at 8-8. So I think if we win one match this week against Akron, we'll find ourselves not in Cleveland for volleyball. It's in Bowling Green, where they host I think it's the previous season's number 1 seed is who gets to host. So, but we'll have a good crowd if we get to make it there. That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yep. And then now transitioning to football, which we almost talked about on our last podcast just because it was fresh in our minds. But the Rockets took down the Northern Illinois Fuskies. Mission midweek, a grand success, I would say. Huge crowd, although you and Pat did not make it out. We made TV, right? After the Kenji touchdown.
It was a still photo. I'm not sure if that was from the ESPN broadcast, but someone caught a photo of us in the background. But
pretty sweet.
I believe they said that was the largest midweek crowd we've had since like 2015.
Man, what do they count as midweek? Because we've played, was that Iowa State game Friday night?
I wouldn't call that midweek.
We played Northern on midweek and lost in 2015 in the all golds. And then
I believe I saw in the biggest midweek crowd we've had in 10 years or something. So I was impressed. I mean, I know they're really trying to sell this game.
Yeah, a little bit about you guys were at you guys were at the game. A little bit about the broadcast. They obviously had Tressel on the field, which you guys saw with this organization. But I just feel like by halftime the announcers ran out of stuff to say, and they just brought Ted Ginn in, which honestly was an awful interview. It was just like, what is going on right now? I feel like somebody's like, "Hey, Ted Ginn's down the hall." They're like, "Bring him in."
Well, they had G Fed, which we just watched his video.
Yeah,
he's like a YouTuber, and he's trying to do 100 football stadiums in 100 days.
Wow.
And he was in the stadium and posted his 16-minute review of the Glass Bowl. He went to Western Michigan, so he's kind of familiar. But he looked like he had a great time. He talked, some of the crowd shots looked awesome. I mean, we had probably wasn't a legit 22,000, but the place was more packed than Kent for sure.
Yeah.
We'll take it for midweek.
Yeah, I was about a minute late arriving, waiting for tickets at the will call booth, and I just heard the opening kickoff go for a touchdown. Like, that is fitting for us.
That was awesome. I can't remember the last time I've been that hyped that early in a game at Glass Bowl, just standing on the stands.
Well, the last game I went to, we were walking in, and unfortunately, the other team scored before we even got to our seats. So it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, Rudolph got his old team back there. He proceeded to drop a few balls, though, in the game, which is customary for our wide receivers. I think Tucker could have maybe been 100% if it wasn't for our drops. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, he did. Probably his best game of the year, I would think, other than maybe Western Kentucky. But it was good to see.
Yeah, 25 for 31, I believe, for 300 yards.
Yep, that was his most yards passing, I think he said. It was some stat I was surprised, but I mean,
maybe highest completion percentage,
something like that. He was balling. We held Northern to 3.1 yards per play. We had 7.1. The only real knock I saw on us was 10 penalties, but I think 3 or 4 of them came in the last drive.
Yeah, when the backups were in, I mean, I think we're legit at 6 before they subbed in backups, and it looked a little sloppy out there. You could tell Candle was pissed on the sideline. But
when is he not?
I mean, I don't want to give a shout out yet because they're one of my players of the game, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, the defense also, showed out, held them to 3. Northern had a couple chances in the red zone. I thought that they would push it to 10 or so, and they didn't. We held their 2 big runs.
They held Northern to 3 yards a play, which, if my math is correct, doesn't equal a first down. So, that's pretty great.
their two running backs only averaged 2 yards a carry, and those guys were like possibly all MAC guys. Like that's a good running back room at Northern Illinois, and we just clobbered them.
Yeah, it
So
was. I think it was about 200 total yards for Northern Illinois, 140 passing, 60 rushing. So that's a great day on defense.
we got to figure out a way to get the Northern Illinois tailgates out of Lot 10, though. Every time they come, they get one or two, and I'm like, how do you?
They saw a couple flags and like, how did you guys get that spot?
Maybe they camp overnight.
Yeah, sure. They there was also a lot of students in Lot 10 that were like parked for class. So the lot was way more full when we got there but no one was tailgating. They all had to leave. So
That's premium parking on campus. What freshman year having to park over at the rec center and walk the hill every day. I couldn't wait to get the Lot 10.
right on. All right, I'm ready for players of the game. We know that we dog walked the Huskies. Hopefully they don't win again, but we might need them actually for strength of schedule. So I don't know.
Our strength of schedule is not great. I was looking at it tonight, actually.
But we don't play Eastern or UMass, so hey, 6 I
guess.
Offensive player of the game, I'll start it off. I'm going with the offensive line. We had a lot of good choices this week, but the fact that the running backs were successful, pass protection was phenomenal. They just look like a complete unit right now, and we're going to need that down the stretch. So big shout out to our big uglies in the middle offensive line.
Who you got, Bags?
I'll go with the combo of Tucker and Junior.
Okay, yeah, Junior had a great game too.
Yeah, those guys connect in a way that they haven't been consistent this year, especially on the road. So we need that to carry from our home offense to on the road. So
we needed that a couple times this year. I can't quite figure out why we haven't, but we're a completely different team away versus home. So hopefully that changes this week. But I actually had 2 offensive players of the game, and they're both position groups. Dan stole my one, offensive line, 0 sacks, which impressive through the game. But once you started throwing in backups, and we talked about a little bit of sloppy play with penalties, still not giving up a sack, with having a full backup offensive line is great to see. So I was very happy with that. Really need to continue with that this week because Miami of Ohio does get to the quarterback. They got a few guys that have a good amount of sacks. So we definitely need the protection. Second is just running back room. You got Chip coming back. He had, let me see here, 88 total yards, touchdown. Kenji Christian had 77 total yards, 2 touchdowns. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, we actually do have like a firm 1-2 punch, and Chip looks 100% healthy, even though he didn't average a ton of yards. I think he averaged like 3.3 per carry, but his 5-yard touchdown run, he just bowled them over. He looked, he's got that extra. Once he gets a little head of steam going, he's tough to take down. So we're gonna need him against Miami. I definitely, it was just nice to see him back there. And then when Kenji needed a break, that's kind of a bigger gap. So when you go from Trainum to Kenji, we're totally fine.
Absolutely. And I think Kenji's kind of proven himself a little bit with Chip being out. We knew he was kind of a speedster, but there's been a few plays where he lowered his shoulder. I'm like, okay, that's what I like to see.
I like seeing him in the receiving game too.
I think he only had 2 receptions. I think Chip had 5. So,
yeah.
But Kenji's, had that big reception. So his receiving yards kind of boosted up from that. But yeah, they definitely need everything this week. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Defensively, I'm going to go Eshawn Carter. He had the big sack, and I'm just more of if you do a dance move after you make a big play, I'm all for it. I think that was his only tackle of the game, but he did a little shimmy. He looked like BJ Raji out there. So I'm going to give it the big old defensive tackle, Eshawn Carter.
I was giving to the whole defense. I was looking up. I think we had 25 different guys with 1 tackle. I think Dapolonia led the team. I think he had 9. When scrolling through, I mean, when we put it in the backups, obviously late in the game, everyone got a little piece of something. But I think we had at least 20 guys at least 1 tackle. So, I mean,
And
they'll hold a
that
team to 3 points no matter who it is. I know NIU's offense is not good, but to hold any team to 3 points. So, the
and
whole defense.
Apollonia looked good in coverage against NIU as well. He had a few good defensive plays in pass coverage. So solid game from him. I'm giving it to Kevon Sherman. 5 tackles, 1 sack. I basically almost every week he's my player of the game, but the dude's everywhere. So that's mine this
Yeah,
week.
that's a great pick. I think special teams were going to be unanimous. The opening kickoff, Trayvon Rudolph.
How can it not be?
It's
Yeah.
poetic too against his former team. I was like, man, that's so cool to see.
It was perfect.
If he just doesn't have a couple drops a game, I mean, we'd fall in love with him. We were looking at the stats before the podcast, and Junior has 9 touchdowns on the year. We have 10 guys with 1, and it just feels like Rudolph or Crosby or somebody else should have a couple more. We're going to need somebody else to step up. I don't care if it's Peters. It can be anybody, but we got to get in the end zone with somebody else other than Vander Ross through the air.
So that's if we're probably leading to Miami right now. So a little segue into that. If you look at the stats between Miami and Toledo, they're a pretty even team if you across the board, honestly. And the one difference I saw was their 3 receivers have pretty much in a group of 25 to 29 receptions between the 3 of them. And they have a burner, Cam Perry, who's got 657 yards with a 26-yard average. So
Yeah.
you got to lock him down. Cannot get
No.
and unfortunately, as good as the defense has been this year, they've also given up a few huge plays randomly. So that's a dude you got to target on the secondary, in my opinion.
No, Cam Perry's a lot like Vander Ross. He's only 5'8". On the Ohio broadcast, he didn't have a catch until I think midway through the second quarter, and he had like a big 25-yard catch and then a touchdown right after that. So he's just like JV. We're gonna have to stop him for sure. But DQ's numbers are not great. I know that their schedule was tough early, but he's got 9 touchdowns, 6 picks, 1,400 passing yards. He's obviously still successful on the ground, almost 400 yards rushing.
He's got 9 passing touchdowns. He's got 4 rushing, so 13 total.
Yeah,
that's one of my keys to the game is you got to lock up his legs because he's not a great passer. I think he hasn't had a 300-yard passing game this year, and he's only gone over 300 yards total twice. I think against Rutgers and Western. So if you lock up his legs and force him to pass, you got to lean on that secondary we have, and you might come out with a W here.
Yeah, Chuck Martin just keeps their offense is always it's such in a box. DQ is best on his second read when he gets out of the pocket. He can kind of make plays happen. He hasn't been allowed to do that much this year, which I think is a flaw in the offensive coaching for Miami. But
absolutely, because like you'll see a lot of teams do that to where it's almost designed to where they're rolling out, and now you have a defender one-on-one either deciding all right, I'm going to cover the receiver or run up and cover the quarterback who can absolutely run on me. So that's a tough choice. Line of scrimmage is basically your fine line to make a decision.
Yeah, watching the Miami Ohio game, it seemed like DQ's best throws were when he was running. Like he's not a pocket passer, so it seemed like whenever he made his best throws was when he was on the move or had just escaped some pressure and found a guy open. That was such a DQ game against Ohio where he'd have some terrible throws to guys that were open, and we're like, yep, that's DQ, and then he'll come out and make a great play. We're like, that's also DQ. Like it seems like it has not changed at all.
I honestly wouldn't be upset if we saw like Jeremiah Peters or somebody who's a little bit quicker from the D line run more contain and we give up some sacks potentially. Just because if you treat it like you're defending an option to where they're basically that defender on the receiver is their dive key. Whatever he decides to do is what DQ is deciding to do. So if he goes after DQ, he's throwing it right over his head. If you got that second guy to get the pursuit from DQ and allow your defender to run past coverage, you got a shot.
Yeah, and he's always due for those like those 2 bad throws, those 2 picks that you're just like, what were you even looking at, dude?
Just didn't see the field, but
that's what comes with having a playmaker like him. You take the good and the bad. But the thing is with Miami is they're balanced in the run game as well. Jordan Brunson, holy crap, this dude 6', 233. He looks like he's about 280. He's a haul of a running back. Every short yardage time that they can run him, they're gonna. He's had the most carries on the team. He's only got 2 touchdowns, but 444 yards, which is that's more than Kenji, so it's a pretty good year. And then Kenny Tracy has 5.6 yards per carry, but he also has 2 touchdowns in the passing game. So he's kind of like Jacquez Stewart. You're basically playing Jacquez and Penny and Finn from a couple of years ago. That's what Miami wants to do. Defensively, they're the stout as always. Their defensive line makes absolutely 0 tackles. It's all funneled towards the linebackers and the DBs. This Miami team's a beast, and I know that there's a guy that you want to talk about on the defense for Miami.
Yeah, there is actually a couple of guys, and the linebackers are definitely key to the defense, but don't sleep on the D line. I think they have 6 sacks this year, so 3 guys who all total for 2 each. So they'll get there if you let them. But yeah, Adam Trick, 6.5 sacks this year. He had 4.5 last year. So dude's improving, but he also has a pick this year and 2 forced fumbles. Leading the team is Andrew, 31 tackles, 3 picks, 2 sacks. So
That's
both these guys are studs.
Solo.
Yeah, these guys are studs. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they're all like the same. They're like a copy and paste of every year. It's the same dudes at Miami. They just plug and play, and their linebackers really know how to tackle. So Chip and Kenji are going to have to break some this week. So hopefully they got their warming, soothing pads on. They're going to take a beating.
A little bit, and that was one of my keys of the game is offensive line. You still got to step up. You got to protect Gleason in the pocket. You got to let them throw, because if they can get the pass game going, like I think you're going to see a W.
Well, you sure to project a W on the road, Kyle? That seems like this point.
I'm saying things that can happen to get you there.
Okay. Comparing with the big boy Brunson running the ball, Miami is 9 of 12 on 4th down plays this year. 75%. That's really good. We are 3 of 14.
Yeah.
For 21%.
It's not good.
So when you're comparing things like penalties, which Toledo has famously been very penalized this year, we're averaging 72 penalty yards a game. Miami's only averaging 55. And another point of contention you could point to Miami is their field goal kicker is really, really good. He's only missed 2. I think he's 14 of 16 on the year. We've only tried 8. But you know that this is going to be a game where points matter. And they don't hurt themselves. They have some good big uglies up front. They're great on 3rd and 4th down conversion. Like, I don't know. If this game comes down to grit, Miami might be the pick.
Yeah, and another interesting running back to me, I don't know if he's hurt, hasn't seen the yards. Forgive me. Miami fans blow me up in the comments. I don't care. But Jones has 4 touchdowns for 168 yards. And that leads me to believe if he's been active all year, he's your short down guy who's a bruiser.
Yeah. No, for sure. And, this Miami team is pulling out all the stops this week. Obviously, they're in the standings. They're 4-1. There's a bunch of teams log jammed in the top, but they got to play Buffalo still. They got to play us. Ohio's 4-1. Western Michigan's 4-1. And by pulling out all the stops, they're going with new uniforms against us this time.
Wow.
What do you think about the All Blacks?
Which are gorgeous. I hate to say it, but they are so good.
Good for them, man. That's pretty cool.
So what are we going to wear? That's really the most important part of any road game projection, because I don't think I've liked a road kit we've worn this year.
No, I haven't liked much better than we've worn this year.
I mean, do you do the contrast with white, black and white?
All white or all gold. I don't think we have any other options that work.
Break out the golds on the road against all black. I think that would be a fun little touch for national television.
Unless we're going blue, white, gold, the classic. That's against what they're trying to do with their classic Cradle of Coaches uniforms at Miami. So either the old golds or let's do our own little throwback thing.
Yeah, put the old school UT logo on it, gold mask. Let's just make this straight up. Well, it's not old school, but we'll make it a '90s matchup. Which brings me to the next little stat. Toledo is 24, 29, and 1 against Miami. Miami is the only team that we are not leading the all-time series. We're obviously tied against Bowling Green. And our only tie was in 1995, 28-28. Toledo won the MAC championship that year. I'm sure Rocket Ryan would have known that. But this is like the two biggest programs. I mean, outside of the Ohio-Miami game last week, this might be the game of the year in the conference.
It has to be. I can't think of, unless, Miami Buffalo, that comes down to who's going to the MAC championship game. But at this point, yeah, besides Miami and Ohio last week, this week for sure is the best game out of the 5 we've got.
And the crowd's going to suck.
I mean, to give the guys from the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad some props, I think they predicted preseason that this would probably be game of the year, at least regular season.
Yeah, it was game of the year when we were down there a couple of years ago when we both had one loss in the MAC, right?
Yeah, but don't you remember that their quarterback got hurt and they only didn't beat us because of that?
Yeah.
And the backup did more than the starter than Gabbard did. There is like a little fuel for our team against Miami for whatever reason. I like it. We hadn't played for 11 freaking years, and now we've played them. This is the fourth meeting in like a year and a half.
Yep.
Candles 2-1 against Chuck Martin. If you go back to our coaching ranking episode, I put Chuck Martin third, and that got a little bit of gripe from the Redskin faithful, but here we are. It's Jason Candle. Can we knock off Chuck Martin again in the regular season? And then we don't have to worry about the title game. I think we'll pretty much bar them out of contention.
Yeah, he just likes playing on hard difficulty, doesn't he?
It's always way harder than it has to be, sadly. But
right.
Some other little tidbits. There's a ton of ranking systems metrically. You could find Toledo's variance is very high. ESPN's number one it's called the S&P Plus, and we are the third highest ranked G5 team there. We are ranked 53rd in the nation, and Miami's 89th. So according to them, this game should be a walk in the park by Toledo. But the Massey Composite, which compiles all the different ranking systems, has us 87th and Miami 92nd. So that's kind of seems more on brand for the.
Yeah, it makes a little more sense.
But fear not, Toledo is favored by 3.5 points again.
Because of course we are.
Don't bet on this game.
Toledo. It's not touching this one.
It's just unbelievable. Toledo's going to go play 11 of our 12 games as the favorite this year. And then the naysayers are going to point to Candle can't win as a favorite when we're just unjustly favored way more than everybody else. That's what it really comes down to.
You could be onto something there. I don't know.
I can't explain it.
No. Also, looking at the Winsipedia, which is a great reference if you're trying to compare two teams, Toledo and Miami are one spot away in one category. We are 80th all time in weeks ranked in the AP poll with 47 weeks total career. Miami's 81st with 43 weeks. So that just shows how close these two teams are historically. It's going to be one for the ages Wednesday night. And maybe we'll know what we need to do to get to Detroit after Tuesday night's games because we got a big one with Western Michigan and Ohio.
The only thing I can think of why we're always favored is just because of the brand and all the additional resources we have compared to the MAC. We're just the amount of wealth that we're sitting in is just wild.
All the resources, just so many more.
So many more than I don't know.
All right, I'm ready for score predictions. Kyle, do you have any of the rest of the non-Skeletons crews picks for the game? I know Ryan dropped his in last Wednesday or Thursday.
I believe Nate did too. You guys go ahead. I'll find it.
All right. I lied again. I said I was going to keep picking a loss till we won more than one in a row. But we know that we can't win more than one in a row without winning a road game. So I went 28-16 Toledo. I think that field goal kicking is going to be something that Miami settles for quite a few times. 3 of them is what I'm projecting. And then they'll get in the end zone on a fluke turnover. DQ will run, spin move 19 times and score once. But I like 4 touchdowns for the Rockets. And Miami's defense is obviously very good, but Gleason has the most confidence right now than he's had all season long. He wants to beat the guy that was ahead of him for 3 years. This has to be a smash spot for Toledo.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'll say what I thought of earlier. 21-17 Rockets. Same score rates I come down by a few years ago. But anyone gets over 30, I'll be surprised. I'm not worried about DQ scoring on us. Our defense has been fine, home, road, wherever. There could be no surprises with what Miami's going to want to do. Just comes down to what Toledo offense are we getting on the road. And this is going to sound weird. I almost hope that Miami scores first.
Okay.
Just to see how we respond. Because our other 2 back losses, we know what happened. We had a 13-0 lead and a 21-0 lead and lost them.
That's a good point.
So I almost hope Miami gets the ball first and just gets like a field goal or something and wake the boys up a little bit. Because we've been up 14-0 in the first quarter, I'm going to be like, this game isn't over at all.
Right.
So I want to see how we respond to some adversity early in the game rather than it coming later and see us choke a lead away slowly.
Well, and to piggyback on that too, we've lost, I think, 5 coin tosses in a row where we've had to get the ball first. And it's great when Trayvon Rudolph takes it for a touchdown because our team does run on momentum. And, obviously we would take that. But, I want the ball in the middle 8 of the game. It's just, for some reason, that's always been Campbell's philosophy, and we can't win a damn toss. So I want to play defense first, like you said. If Miami goes down and scores, scripted drive.
Yeah, scripted. Yeah, I think 21-24 should be enough to win this game.
I agree.
For either team.
So, Dan, what you're saying is if we win the toss, we win the game.
No, because we did
that's
not
your
win
key
the
to the
game against Western Michigan.
Right.
So
So I
that
do
hurt
have,
us, though, against BG for sure. They scored at the end of the first half and then got the ball right back and scored again.
I do have Nate's score prediction. He has 35-31 Toledo winning.
Ooh, high scoring.
Points. Okay.
Is it going to be 85 degrees and balmy down there? I don't know if I see that, but hey.
I think Toledo's going to hit a wall like we've been seeing more than occasionally this year during the game. I'm not sure if they'll muster up enough to get that win once they hit that wall. I'm going to say 28-24 Miami.
Well, Nate was also the most accurate last week, right? You and Nate were really close with your projections.
Yeah.
He had 42-10 and you had 35-6.
Correct.
So you guys were basically, a point away. I'm going to trust you guys. Hopefully, I'm going to trust Nate over your projection this week.
I would trust Nate too. I hope Nate's right.
A higher scoring game would be fun for us to watch our first game on the couch.
No. Also, I think it would definitely be, I believe, the least amount of people we've played in front of so far this year. I mean, it should be the worst crowd we've played in front of.
True. Yeah. Washington State, Western Michigan, BG, all good crowds.
Kentucky, obviously. And then every game at home has been fine.
Yeah.
So this will be crowd should not be a factor. I mean, that was part of the thing when we choked away the leads at Western and BG. Damn near sellouts at both of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So he's not going to have that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a factor. I'm just not. I don't have a good feeling, and I mentioned that last week when we were talking about possibly doing the segment on the last podcast after Jenny, but I'm not liking it. It's just too even of a matchup, and what I've seen on the road from Toledo, I just don't know if they have enough firepower.
It can't continue forever, right? Has that ever happened where Toledo team has won every game at home, lost every game on the road?
There's no way.
There's no teams that do that. It has to break.
The best home team the MAC has ever seen.
Well, so here's a little fun fact. I don't think Ohio has lost at home since 2022. They've won like 21 consecutive home games or something, which is their obviously record all time. And it's like the 5th longest streak in America. But you said no one's done it. Last year, I believe Washington was 6-0 at home and 0-6 on the road. So Washington was the team that had a great home. I mean, you're playing the Big Ten for the first year. Teams have to fly all the way out there. It's probably
Yeah, the
different.
jet lag. Yeah.
But
That's a great home stadium environment too at Washington.
yeah, for sure. But I was just coming back with a little bit of football knowledge.
Yeah.
I did see a tweet. I don't know how many schools were surveyed in this survey, but I did see Ohio leads the MAC in alcohol sales at games.
Okay, so there's I think 6 or 7 teams that are not privately. They don't have a private deal with their alcohol sales. So the ones you saw on the list were all of the teams in the nation that don't have a private deal. So like I think Ball State was dead last. They were like 25th in the nation. They might be literally dead last in the whole country. There's a lot of schools that just don't release those numbers. I bet you we sold a lot more alcohol against Northern too to bump that up. But is it really surprising Ohio sells the most alcohol of any MAC stadium?
Nope, that's why I brought it up.
Oh, and Western Michigan has the stupid $14 beers and the wristbands, so that's why they're way behind us.
And you have to walk 2 miles and do some burpees and jumping jacks just to find the place.
Yeah,
Are they at least craft beers?
Monster alcohol.
I got a Monster Beast, whatever those are called, for $14. It was refreshing. It was a hot day, so that was right after we had taken our first actual lead too. So I was feeling good, and then you know what happened after that.
And Bowling Green just runs out of beer, so that's why they're not higher on the list. Yeah. They can sell more, I promise.
They would have surpassed us if they had more concessions on the Toledo game.
Yeah, well, sure. Now this is the point where Nate usually goes into bowl projections. He's not here, so I didn't look him up because I like to be surprised. But I did see 2 on the message board. One was against Rutgers in the game above bowl, and the other one was in Idaho against somebody. And the people were kind of knocking Idaho as a bowl destination. If you play a decent Mountain West team, I mean, we haven't been there in 14 years. And I remember in 2012 when we played ranked Utah State, they roll out the red carpet. Boise's a pretty damn cool city. So just because if we go 8-4, I really don't care where we go. But Idaho's not a bad destination, people. It sucks that we probably can't fork up the $2,000 for a plane ticket to get out there.
A long drive.
Where's that?
I don't know if I'm doing that for an 8-4 team.
Well, we might be 9-4. You never know.
Based on mine, it was 7-5 potentially.
Oh, so you at least have us beating Central and Ball State after this. That's good.
Preseason, I predicted them to lose to Central, but I figured they would bookend those losses. Just a loss to Kentucky and then loss at the end of the season to Central. We have a vastly different season this year, so stay tuned for my prediction on that.
Hey, it could still be better. Last year we were only 7-5 and lost to Akron. The season could still be better than last year. I mean, metrically across the board, our defense is fantastic. Our offense leads the MAC in scoring. Like, this team is better than last year's. Like, don't get it twisted. Our offensive line's made a lot of strides. We just got to figure out a way to win on the road.
I agree.
Play a complete game, not just the first half.
Or second half, whichever one we choose.
So is that I'm not going to say what Pat. I'm put a bow on this pretty lady here.
There we go.
There's no pretty ladies here.
On behalf of Bags and Dan Rocketman Savage, I'm Kyle W. Last thing, TOL.
EDO.